a single lady. I'm a single lady. I'm a single lady. Now put your hands up. That's what Dalia wanted to do. She wanted to be a single lady. A single lady. Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. Today we're going to be doing another episode of Makeup and History. Makeup and History. Makeup and History is a series here on my channel where I put on makeup while talking about a historical event, a scandal from the past, or a person that I just find fascinating. Last week we talked about Anita Hill and the confirmation hearing for Justice Clarence Thomas. This was one of my heavier videos. I feel like the subject matter was a bit heavy and very relevant to what's happening today. So that video is a bit dense, but it is still good and you should still watch it. Go watch it. Today I've decided to pick a lighter story. I mean, it's still pretty bad, but it's not as dense as some of the stories that I've done in the past. I honestly think this story is a bit comical, and I hope that you guys also think that, otherwise I will feel like a terrible person. Today we're going to be talking about the story of Mike and Dalia Dippolito. If you're familiar with this story, then you know it's ridiculous. If you're not, get ready, because it's ridiculous. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here. We're chill around here. We have a lot of fun. It's fun. Subscribe. Also, if you enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment. I read all of the comments and I genuinely appreciate hearing you guys' thoughts and opinions, and it really does help my videos out so much. So if you could, just leave a nice little comment as the video goes along, share what you think, and give this video a thumbs up. I really would appreciate it. All right, let's get into the story and put on some makeup. All right, so hair's up, we're a bit closer. All the products and everything that I'm using on my face in this video will be in the description box below. So who are Mike and Dalia Dippolito? Specifically, we're going to be focusing on Dalia Dippolito because she is fascinating. She fascinates me. All right, so to start this story, we got to get in the time machine. We got to get in the good old time machine, and we don't have to go back that far. This is going to be a short ride. We're just going to 2008, so you should still wear your seatbelt though. All right, let's do it. Sorry, we're here, we're in 2008. So sometime in the late summer of 2008 is when Mike and Dalia meet. Mike is hanging out by himself, his wife is out of town, and he decides to get on a website called eros.com, an escort service. So Mike is browsing the site because he's lonely because his wife is out of town and he needs an escort to come keep him company. He finds Dalia. 30 minutes later, she shows up to his door.
He was ordering an escort to keep him company over the weekend. He ordered her like a pizza.
Now Dalia, who is 26 at the time, shows up to the door, and instantly Mike thinks she's very attractive. He thinks she's super hot, she's very friendly, and she seems to be really into him. They hit it off. 2 weeks later, he divorces his wife of 7 years. So after Mike files for divorce from his wife, he and Dalia start dating pretty seriously, and they realize they have a lot of things in common. They're both really into lavish things and the lavish lifestyle. They're both really into their looks and going to the gym. They both love Starbucks.
We watched the news together. We were big movie people. We both love Starbucks, coffee drinkers.
Who doesn't? So Mike and Dalia fall madly in love. They are very affectionate with one another, almost to the point of making people around them uncomfortable. Dalia is very affectionate towards Mike, and it appeared to everyone around them that she was infatuated with him. She was in love with him. She adored him. So the relationship between the two of them seems to be going really well. And Mike decides that he's going to open up to Dalia about his troubled past. In 2002, Mike was convicted for a telemarketing scam in which he stole like $155,000 from people over the phone. Mike was given 2 years in prison plus 28 years probation, which he was currently serving when he met Dalia. He was also required to pay $191,000 in restitution from the money he stole, which was mainly from senior citizens. So Mike opens up to Dalia about all of this, all the stuff in his past. He's a convicted felon, he's on probation, and he tells her about all the money that he owes, and she's very understanding and supportive, and even offers to help him pay back the money. Mike falls madly in love with Dalia, and 6 months after the couple meets, they get married, and they become husband and wife.
the way that it happened, it was just so impulsive, and it felt right.
You went down to the county
The courthouse the same day.
From an outsider looking in, they're the happiest couple.
Now, Dalia also had a pretty dark past that Mike didn't know about. She didn't disclose hers, though. Dalia's dark past involved seducing men and robbing them for all they were worth. Sorry, that's not funny, but dang.
She knew how to use her sex appeal, and she had a lot of it, to get her way. And that's what she did very successfully with men.
Mike also had no idea that Dalia hadn't changed at all. And she was planning on doing the same thing to Mike. She was planning on taking him for all he was worth. He had no idea, though. They were married. They seemed really in love. She seemed to really adore him. He had no idea what was coming. So almost immediately after getting married, Dalia starts plotting against Mike. Mike is a homeowner, so Dalia is trying to get control over Mike's house so that she can sell it for profit. Dalia reaches out to a man she used to date who coincidentally is also named Mike. We'll call him Mike too. And she asks him if he will help her. Now, Dalia has already scammed Mike 2 3 times, so I don't know why he agreed to help her. I think she offered him sex in exchange for the help, and he was like, okay, yeah, sure. You've already stolen money 3 times, but I think this time it'll be fine. I'm just gonna help you steal someone else's money, so yeah, sure. So she goes to Mike 2 and she says, okay, the plan is you're going to call my husband and pretend to be a lawyer and tell him that if he signs his house over to me, it will help him get off probation sooner. So Mike 2 calls Mike Original and tells him he's a lawyer and tells him that if he signs his house over to Dalia, it would help him get off probation sooner. So Mike does it. I don't know why he didn't get a second opinion, but he does. He goes and signs his house over to Dalia. As soon as Dalia's name gets on the title of the house, she begins plotting on how to get rid of Mike so she can sell the house. Since Mike was currently on probation, she starts by trying to get him arrested again so that he'll get thrown back into prison. She attempts to set Mike up by planting drugs in his car and then anonymously calling the police so that he'll get pulled over. They'll find the drugs in his car and then they'll take him to jail. And she does this twice. The first time Mike gets pulled over, the cops don't find the drugs in his car and they let him go. Apparently she didn't hide it in a visible enough place for the cops to find it. And he didn't know that they were in there, so he was like, well, okay, this is weird, I guess I'm gonna go. The second time, Mike gets pulled over after he and Dalia were leaving dinner, and the cops tell him that they got an anonymous call that he had drugs in his car and they needed to search his car. So they pull them both out of the car and they start searching his car and they find a little bag of drugs hidden somewhere in his car. So Mike starts freaking out because he knows he's on probation. He knows those aren't his drugs and this could get him in a lot of trouble. So he starts freaking out, crying and pleading with the police and telling them, these aren't my drugs. I don't know how they got there. Like, he is hysterical, right? Dalia is just standing there completely emotionless. She's like, she doesn't care at all that her husband might be going back to jail. Like, she doesn't say anything because she's the one who called them. But the cops don't know that Dalia is the one that called, and neither does Mike. However, they do find it suspicious that she's just like standing there super emotionless, like she doesn't care at all about what's happening. Luckily, the cops believe Mike. They believe that they were not his drugs, and they let him go. Dalia was probably pissed. She's like, are you kidding me? You guys are gonna let him go? Are you joking right now? All right, so the cops let Mike and Dalia go, and Mike obviously is still very emotional because he thought he was going to get sent back to prison, and he also noticed that Dalia didn't seem to care at all. So Dalia is driving them home, and he asks her, like, did you put these drugs in my car? Like, you're the only one who knew where we were going to dinner. You're the only one who has access to my car. Did you do this? Dalia immediately gets defensive and starts screaming at Mike. She's like, how dare you accuse me of this? I would never do that. Are you crazy? She gets so pissed. She's so mad. She starts speeding and driving really crazy and telling Mike that she can't believe he would accuse her of something like this. So Mike now is terrified and he's like, okay, I believe you. Just please drive normal. Please stop. Thankfully, they make it home safely after that crazy drive. And the next day, things cool down. But Dalia can sense that Mike is now suspicious of her and he's acting really distant. So she's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell him I'm pregnant. Shh. she tells Mike, hey, sorry I was acting so crazy. It's because I'm pregnant. Was she actually pregnant? No. But Mike doesn't know that, so he's ecstatic. He's like, oh my God, we're having a baby. Mike is so excited, he completely forgets about the traumatic near-death experience that he had the night before, and he and Dalia begin planning for their new family. All right, so after Dalia's 2 failed attempts to get Mike sent back to prison, she also learns that even if Mike gets sent back to prison, legally she can't sell his house without his permission. So if he goes to prison, he's locked up, she still can't sell the house. So that's not a solution. She needs something more permanent. Dun dun dun. Dalia decides she needs to kill Mike. Dalia's nuts. Dalia is nuts. So Dalia decides that she's going to poison Mike. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the 2 of them really love Starbucks. That was one of the things that they have in common. They both love Starbucks.
Both love Starbucks, coffee drinkers.
So one day, Dalia is out and she returns home with 2 iced teas from Starbucks. One for her, one for the love of her life, Mike. However, she first puts antifreeze in Mike's iced tea before she gives it to him. Mike takes 1 sip of the iced tea and immediately spits it out. Now, he doesn't think anything of this. He just thinks that, you know, maybe Starbucks made him a bad drink. You know, it happens. Sometimes the mix is not right. So he just spits it out and he's like, oh, this is gross, and he throws it away. But just from that 1 sip of the tea, Mike is sick for 2 weeks. He doesn't die, but he is sick for 2 weeks. Now Dalia is like, shoot, okay, maybe I should hire a professional. Maybe I can't do this on my own. He's not going to drink the poison iced tea. I need someone who can actually, you know, get this done. So Dalia decides to reach out to another guy that she used to date, a man named Muhammad Shahade. For whatever reason, she thinks Muhammad is the guy to help her find someone to kill her husband. So she goes to him and she's like, hey, do you know of anyone who could do this potentially? And Muhammad's like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, do you have someone who can help me or not? I've already tried to give him iced tea that had antifreeze in it and it didn't work, so I need someone who can do this professionally. Can you help me or not? And Muhammad is like, yeah, I guess I'll get back to you on that. Sure. Immediately after Dalia and Muhammad meet, Muhammad's like, wow, she's fucking crazy. I'm gonna go to the police. So he goes to the police and he reports her. Muhammad goes to the police station and he's like, yo, I need to report a crime. This girl I used to date just told me that she's trying to kill her husband. She asked me to help her. And the police are like, what? Okay, what's her name? And he's like, her name's Dalia. And they're like, what's her last name? He's like, I don't know. And they're like, you said you used to date her. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know her name. And they're like, okay, well, where does she live? And he's like, I don't know. So the police don't really believe him. I'm sure they deal with these kinds of things all the time. They're like, all right, yeah, sure, bud. Just call us again if something else happens. And he's like, no. She told me she already tried to kill him, so she's serious. And they're like, okay, will you agree to wear a wire and go and meet with her again so that we can get recorded evidence of whoever you say this person is? He's like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So Muhammad calls Dalia to set up another meeting, and Dalia doesn't know that Muhammad is wearing a wire for the police. The police also set up a camera in Muhammad's car so that they can capture video footage so that they know what Dalia looks like. So Dalia gets in the car to meet with Muhammad, and immediately she's like, so did you find someone? Did you find a guy? And Muhammad's like, yeah, I found someone. I found someone who can help you. Muhammad's lying, obviously. But Dalia is thrilled that Muhammad has found someone to help her get rid of Mike. And she's like, okay, well, how much does he want? When can he get it done? I'm really trying to make this quick. You know, she's really just treating it like a grocery run. Like, she's like trying to rush him through the conversation, basically. And he's like, can you chill? You're asking me to help you kill someone. Like, what is wrong with you?
Dalia has no idea that every word coming out of her mouth is being caught on camera.
The police are just on the back end of the call listening, like, oh my God, he was telling the truth. He was telling us the truth. Wow, okay, we gotta get this girl Dalia before she does something terrible to her husband. All right, so now that the police know that this is a real situation, that Dalia is a real person, they begin building a case. The police station reaches out to the show Cops, and they tell them about the story, and they ask them if they want to cover the story. And of course, Cops, the producers, are like, yeah, of course, absolutely, the story sounds amazing, we'll cover it. Next, the police department gets one of their undercover cops, someone who had already been working undercover in the narcotics division, and they ask him to pose as a hitman. So the undercover cop calls Dalia to set up a meeting. He tells him, hey, I'm Mohammed's friend. I want to talk with you about, the thing you need help with. And she's like, okay, cool. So they set the meeting again in a car that is bugged with cameras, and the undercover cop is wearing a wire. Dalia gets in, and oddly enough, she looks back into the car where the camera is, as if she knows that the camera is there, or that she's suspicious that the camera might be there. Although Dalia seemed suspicious, she proceeds to tell the hitman she wants him to help her get rid of her husband. She's like, what do you need? How soon can we get this done? Same thing that she was saying to Muhammad. She really, really wants this done quickly.
Surprising thing about my meeting with Dalia was how adamant she was in making sure that this was done.
The two of them come up with a plan in the car. This is all on camera. They come up with a plan where Dalia is going to go to the gym at 5 a.m. She and Mike usually go to the gym together, but Mike has just gotten liposuction surgery, so he's on bed rest. He can't go to the gym. So she's going to go to the gym. The hitman is going to show up to their house, shoot Mike, leave, and then the police will call Dalia on her way home to let her know what's happened. So Dalia loves this plan. She's like, great, that's a great plan. I couldn't have thought of a better plan myself. I love it. When can we do it? Now, the hitman, aka the undercover cop, is like, whoa, like, you have to be sure that you want to do this, because after this meeting, we can't have any contact with each other. You have to be 100% sure that this is what you want done.
And that's when Dalia Dippolito says the phrase that goes around the world.
Okay. No, there's no, determined already. I'm positive, 5,000% sure.
I'm 5,000% sure. That's what she says. I'm 5,000% sure. And he's like, okay, well, you're going to get questioned, so I hope that you're going to hold up under questioning, because I don't want this coming back on me. And she's like, no, you don't have to worry about that.
A lot tougher than what I look. I know you're like, oh, what a cute little girl, whatever.
And then she's like, and no one will ever suspect me of being involved in this, so we're not going to get caught. It's fine. Dalia is very, very, very confident. So the two of them set the date to make this all happen on August 5th, 2009, which is about 6 months after Mike and Dalia get married. They've only been married for 6 months at this point. 6 months, and she's already tried to get him sent back to prison twice and kill him once? Jeez. All right, so on the morning of August 5th, 2009, Dalia gets up 5 a.m. to go to the gym. She leaves Mike behind. She gives him a kiss. Mike has no idea what's about to happen, because Dalia hasn't changed at all. She's still been her very loving and affectionate self towards him. So he just thinks his wife's going to the gym. He's just got a little lipo. He can't move around too much, so he's just going to sleep it. As soon as Dalia leaves for the gym, the police show up to their house and they tell Mike what's going on. They're like, hey, just so you know, your wife is actually planning to have you killed right now, but we are saving your life right now. So you just have to get dressed and come with us. Don't worry. Mike is, of course, shocked and confused, because one, it's 5 a.m. His wife just left him. He had no idea that this was happening, and he doesn't exactly love the police. So to find the police at his doorstep that early in the morning telling him that his wife was going to have him killed, he's like, what is going on? Mike is very, very, very confused and upset. Understandably so. Shouldn't have cheated on your wife, Mike. All right, so after the police tell Mike what's going on and get him out of the house, they turn the house into a crime scene, or at least the outside of the house into a crime scene. And then they call Dalia to tell her that an emergency has happened at her house and she needs to get back immediately. Dalia is at the gym when she gets the call. She pretends to act worried. She goes back home to find the caution tape around her house, police everywhere. She doesn't know that the show Cops is actually filming, but she's like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on when she gets there? The police officer who's in charge tells her, hey, we're so sorry to inform you that your husband has been killed. He's been shot twice in the head.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am. He's been killed. He's been killed, man. Listen.
Dalia immediately breaks down and becomes hysterical. She's like, oh my God, can I see him? Oh my God, she starts crying, screaming. She's bending over. She's hysterical. She's upset. Sorry. She's obviously pretending to be upset because she planned the whole thing, and she doesn't know that everyone there knows. So all the cops there are trying to play it cool and not let her know that they know. Alright, so Dalia is still visibly upset. She's making a scene at the crime scene, and the police tell her that they need her to go down to the police station with them to answer some questions. So at the police station, they begin questioning Dalia about who could have done this. Like, does she know anyone who could have killed her husband or who wanted her husband killed? They're still playing it as though they don't know that she's behind the whole thing. Dalia asks again if she can see Mike. She's like, can I just see him? She's still crying and she's still upset. And they're like, no, sorry, unfortunately you can't see him right now, but you'll get to see him. You'll get to see him.
I just want to see my husband, please.
All right.
And I'm the husband, and I love you,
No, you don't want to see him.
I just want to see him.
Believe me. You don't.
You can't see him right now. We just need to get through these questioning so we can try and figure out what happened and who did this. So Dalia starts bringing up Mike's past, bringing up the fact that he's a felon, that he's stolen money from a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that could have wanted to do this to him. She starts bringing up names of people who could have done this. Like, she's like, oh, there's this guy could have done it, or this guy. Like, she just starts really divulging a lot of information. After a little while, the officer who's interrogating her says, okay, I gotta go, I gotta step outside for a second, I'll be right back. They're recording Dalia and she seems to be very upset. Her head's down, she's still crying. She seems really upset. Then, the cop who was questioning her comes back into the interrogation room with the undercover police officer who Dalia met with, who was supposedly supposed to kill her husband, and he's like, hey, do you know this man? And Dalia, with a straight face, says, no, I don't know who that is. Who is that?
You know who this guy is?
No,
You've never seen him before?
I've never seen him before. Ever.
So finally, the cop who is interviewing Dalia breaks the news that they're onto her. They know she did this. Mike's not really dead. They know everything. And Dalia's like, Mike's not dead? Can I see him? She completely ignores the fact that they know she did it. She completely is acting like she really doesn't know who the guy is that she talked with to set up the hit for her husband. All she's focused on is the fact that Mike's alive. And she's like, oh my God, can I see him? The officers are like, no, you can't see him. You're being arrested for his murder. And she's like, she's confused. She starts proclaiming her innocence, saying she didn't do anything. She doesn't know what they're talking about.
You're going to jail for solicitation of first-degree murder of your husband.
I didn't do anything.
Did you hear what I just told you?
I heard what you said, but I didn't.
Everything, listen to me.
She has no idea who that cop is. She didn't do anything. She wants to go home. She starts asking if she can go home. And they're like, no, you can't go home. We have you on camera committing a crime, a felony. You are going to jail. And she's like, I didn't do anything. Honestly, you got to give it to Dalia for a little bit because she really never cracked. Like, she said she wasn't going to crack, and she did not crack. She said she was innocent to the very end, honestly. So the officers arrest Dalia to take her to jail, and as we all know, when you get to jail, you get a phone call. Can you guess who Dalia decides to make her phone call out to? Guess. She decides to call Mike, of all people. Oh, God. Dalia calls Mike, and she's like, Mike, can you come get me? Can you come help me? I need you to get me a lawyer. And Mike is like, are you kidding me? Like, they showed me the video. They showed me what you did. You were trying to have me killed. I can't help you. And she's like, no, Mike, I saw the video too. You have to believe me. Like, did you see how I was when they told me you died? I was so upset. I was so sad. And he's like, well, yeah, because you were acting. Like, they showed me the video of you talking to the guy trying to have me killed. She's like, no, Mike, no.
It wasn't going to say. I saw it. I heard it. I saw what you saw and I heard what you heard. Okay, what the f***? You said you wanted to have me killed. I heard that. It's not true. That is not. How is it not true? How can you believe that? I heard your voice. How can you believe it?
She's basically gaslighting him the whole time, saying that it's not her, it didn't happen, she had nothing to do with this. She saw the video too, and he has to believe her. And he's like, how am I supposed to believe you if they showed me the video? And she's like, I know, I saw it too. He's like, Dalia, okay, there's nothing I can do for you. The only thing I can do for you is you sign my house back over to me and I will help take care of your mom.
You sign my house back over to me, I'll help your mom immensely. Give me my house back.
After he says this, Dalia's tone completely changes. She gets so upset. She's like,
I'm not signing anything. I know you wouldn't sign anything. I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I can't help you.
I would never sign the house back over to you. Why would I sign the house back over to you? And Mike's like, wow, you're literally in jail. You're not getting out of jail, and you still don't want to give me my house back. Wow. So Dalia gets another phone call, and this time she calls her mom. And in the conversation with her mom, she says, Mom, this didn't happen. I didn't do it. This is all Mike's fault. Mike did this, and he's in my house.
Okay, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. You did. I know you didn't. I know you didn't. Where are you? You in gun club? Yes, I'm here in gun club. And I heard Mike is at the house. I want him out of my house. I'll have a lawyer first. It's my house. The title's in my name.
Dalia is crazy. All right, so now we'll fast forward to Dalia's trial. By now, this story becomes a national news story because the show Cops was filming behind the scenes, as well as the police department that was covering the story. They published the crime scene onto the website. So a lot of news media outlets pick the story up and it becomes a national story, and everyone is shocked because they're like, what is going on? Dalia's defense attorneys come up with the argument that Dalia was a part of the whole thing. The entire thing was a plan for her and Mike to become famous.
Plot for the contract killing of Mike Dippolito was never real.
They argue that both Mike and Dalia cared about their appearance. They both liked the lavish lifestyle and wanted nice things. So they planned this together in order to get on a reality TV show.
Salnick presents a computer forensic expert who found that Dalia had searched reality shows on her computer.
They claimed that Muhammad was in on it, that Mike was in on it, and that Dalia knew that the police were in on it the entire time, which is why she looked at the camera in the car when the hitman was actually the undercover cop. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Oh, I don't know if it should. Of course, when they present this argument in court, everyone thinks it's absolutely ridiculous.
Did you ever have aspirations to be on a reality show?
No.
Did you ever act out any scenarios with a defendant for a reality show?
No. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And after the jury deliberates, they decide she's guilty, and Dalia is shocked.
I was numb. It wasn't at all what I was expecting to hear.
She's like shocked that she's going to prison. Like, she didn't think that there was any way that she was going to go to prison. She actually thought that that defense was going to work. So Dalia is sent to prison, but she appeals it and gets released. In 2014, Dalia hires a defense attorney by the name of Brian Claypool.
Brian Claypool.
Defense attorney Brian Claypool. Nice to see you both.
I am 5,000% sure Dalia Dippolito is innocent.
And Brian is a famous lawyer, basically. He found out about the case because it became a national news story. So he gets her conviction appealed on the basis of a jury selection error. They said something was wrong with the jury selection and she gets to have a new trial. So Dalia is released from prison and placed on house arrest while her new trial is awaiting to begin. Once the new trial begins, her lawyer, Brian Claypool, argues that the police department that handled Dalia's case took advantage of her and made a spectacle of the case. Because they involved the show Cops and they published the story to their website, they were violating Dalia's constitutional rights, and that means she shouldn't go to prison. And then, in his closing argument, he lets the jury know that if they send Dalia to prison, they will be separating her from her newborn son. And everyone is shocked by this.
Give her that freedom back to go home to her family and her infant son.
By the way, if you send her to prison, you're going to be separating her from her infant son.
The prosecution is shocked, the judge is shocked, because no one knew she had a child. But apparently, while she was out on house arrest, she and the maintenance worker who came to fix something in her apartment hooked up, had a baby, and now she'd given birth to a child while she was on house arrest. When the jurors deliberated, they couldn't decide. It was a hung jury. Some of them said she was innocent and some of them said she was guilty. So her case was ruled a mistrial and she was released. She got off. Like, it actually worked. They had video evidence of her committing the crime and her lawyer got her off in the second trial. But the story's not done. It's almost done, but it's not done. After the mistrial and Dalia was released scot-free, the prosecution was like, no, we're gonna try her again. Technically speaking, I think because it was a mistrial, double jeopardy doesn't count in this instance, so they were able to try her again for the same crime. In 2017, her third trial would begin, and the prosecution would bring Mike to testify so that the jury could see the victim, the man who was supposed to be, So after the third trial in 2017, it only took the jury 90 minutes to decide that Dalia was guilty. Because she was guilty. They literally had video evidence. I don't know what her defense was for the third trial. If anyone knows that, please comment it down below. I'm sure it was something crazy, but yeah, this time she was sentenced. So Dalia received 16 years in prison, and her lawyers did try to file another appeal, even trying to get her case seen by the Supreme Court, but it got denied. They were like, no. So Dalia is currently in prison. She is set to be released in 2032. Mike is somewhere living his life. I don't really know what Mike is up to now. I think he's all right. I hope he's all right. I don't know, Mike. Maybe you shouldn't have cheated on your wife and left your wife, Mike. Maybe this is karma, Mike. It's like, I don't know. I hope Mike's all right. All right, you guys. So that is it for this story. I hope that you enjoyed it. I am super fascinated by Dalia as a person, by this story. She maintains her innocence. To this day, she still denies having any involvement in the plot for Mike's death, which is crazy, but she did say that she wasn't gonna crack, and you gotta respect someone who holds their word, I guess. Oh, please do not forget to leave a comment down below and give this video a thumbs up. Leave comments down below for any stories that you guys would like to hear me tell. Historical stories, scandals. I do have a list of stories that are coming up, but if you guys have some that I haven't thought of yet, I would greatly appreciate you guys leaving those down below. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. I seriously appreciate it so much. Check out some of my other videos while you're here. Stick around, let's be friends. Watch my other videos. These other videos. Oof, all right. I'm filming this video really late, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go. Love you guys so much. Bye.